Welcome to another episode of Inside IALR. We've been talking a lot about what we do here and why we do the things that we do here at the Institute for Advanced Learning and Research. And, we've talked a lot about economic transformation for Southern Virginia and really beyond that, but particularly Southern Virginia as our mission statement. But I think one of the biggest components of what IALR does is the Institute Conference Center. And I think that's one of the things that, if you took a poll in this community of, what people know about us, that would be one of the main things that people know. They've come to an event or experienced something here. Today, we're going to be talking about our conference center, all that it offers, all that it is, with our Vice President of the Institute Conference Center, Leslie Dobbins. Leslie, thanks for being here.
Well, Caleb, thank you for the opportunity for us to give insight as to how the Conference Center contributes to the mission as a regional catalyst for economic transformation.
Give us a little bit of a, sort of an overview of what all do we offer here at the Institute Conference Center.
Well, Caleb, we have about 30,000 square feet of meeting space. And I'll start with the atrium, which is about 3,800 square feet. And this space is comprised of glass and steel, which really makes an impression when visitors and guests walk in, because all of them enter the building through the atrium. And the comment I hear so often from first-time visitors is, "I can't believe this building isn't brand new. This is timeless." The space boasts a not-to-be-missed 14-foot video wall, which is a wonderful benefit for clients who wish to welcome their guests when they arrive, and whether it's through a PowerPoint or a video or even a slideshow. The atrium is also a great backdrop for trade shows, when maybe a conference is taking place in the Great Hall. It accommodates about 21 8-foot tables for such exhibit space around the perimeter, which is really ideal for vendors. The atrium has been a desired location for many wedding ceremonies, accommodating guests up to 400, as well as many economic development announcements, countless receptions, luncheons, and dinners. So moving on into our 8,400 square foot Great Hall, which, by the way, was renovated in 2021. And through this enhancement, we have newer high-definition audio system, new acoustical panels, LED lighting, new oversized drop-down screens, multiple cameras for recording and streaming events. This is our most flexible meeting space, and it has 6 spaces that can be configured into a multitude of setups depending on the group size and their meeting needs. The Great Hall is also probably our most utilized space. It's ideal for day-long and multi-day conferences, trade shows, receptions, trainings, breakfasts, and dinners. We offer theater style for up to 700 and banquet seating up to 500. And because we can divide the space into like a general session, we like to say that our sweet spot for conferences is about 250, because when we do the general session, that leaves us with a couple of other rooms for breakouts, which are right off that space. And as a matter of fact, I think we're going to be using that space in a day or two with the CEA Summit coming up. Our auditorium also received some updating in 2021, again with the new LED lighting and a video wall. And this is a great room. It's set up classroom style, so it's ideal for any kind of presentation, lectures, and we really spend a lot of time utilizing that space for trainings, and whether it's industry trainings or internal, external, corporate training events, it's a superb space. We also have 4 business conference rooms, 3 of which are perfect for 8 to 10 people. And they're set up executive style with, again, the video and the PowerPoint capabilities. We have a large executive conference room, which additionally received the upgrade in 2021 with the addition again of, I talk about the LED lighting, but that's really important. It saves us a lot of money. And it's ideal for presentations and for meetings and events. But the video wall also has 2 additional presentation screens. The room has brand new leather chairs and table mics. And this room seats comfortably 26 around a mahogany table that was literally built over 20 years ago in the room for the room. So this room is, again, used quite often for economic development, management retreats, board, and strategic planning meetings. So I've just given you sort of an overview of our largest spaces and our most utilized space.
So I want to take a step back. And, we have all these spaces now. And as you said, we've done renovations in 2021. On a lot of these spaces to really improve them. But you've been here a long time. You've been here almost, since the Institute was founded. So tell us a little bit about the transformation of the Institute Conference Center from when you started. Tell us about how what we offer has changed. How and even your role in that.
I began my role in October of 2003 as an event planner. So next month, that'll be 20 years. At the time, the building was not yet completed. So my first office was actually in the Dan River Business Development Center, just a couple miles away. Our family had just moved to Danville, so I really wasn't familiar with the community and the area. But there was certainly a buzz about this new institute that was going to be the catalyst for economic transformation. And I was just so excited to be given the opportunity to be in an environment where I was going to be able to meet and collaborate with so many people coming together, all of whom wanted to make a meaningful difference in the community and in the region. And I just remember one of my very first assignments, and this was like 2 weeks into my role, but I was assigned to assist in the planning of a political event that was to take place in 2 weeks. So here I was, new to the community, new to the Institute. There was such a buzz around us about how this was going to be the game changer in our community and in our region. And here I was to be involved in planning this political event. And I really, while I have a political background, and I certainly have participated, or prior to that time, participated in lots of events through my previous work, this was just a little daunting to me. So I remember, because again, the building wasn't finished. So we contacted the city of Danville to help provide us with the lectern, the tables, the chairs, the flags, and they really helped coordinate the setup for this particular event. And so this included like our congressman and one of our U.S. senators, along with other political dignitaries. I also remember that in February of 2004, so here I started in October over in the Dan River Business Development Center, and we had a number of events that were planned for the February timetable. So, and we weren't in the building yet. So I remember the first event. So the conference center was the first group to move in. And again, as I say, that was before the punch list was completed. June of 2004 was the official opening of the Institute, and we had an elegant evening for stakeholders. But I remember one of the first events was like a Nestle 3-day training. And I remember running to one of our local fast food restaurants because they suddenly decided that they wanted breakfast. And where do you go get breakfast at 7 o'clock in the morning for 50 people? So I remember doing a massive takeout of biscuits for this particular group. But anyway, over the course of almost 20 years, we have served U.S. senators, U.S. congressmen, governors, a vice president, and CEOs of major global companies. We have supported everything from weddings, rehearsal dinners, anniversary and birthday parties, class and family reunions, and proms, car clubs. And then, of course, our industry job fairs and industry and corporate trainings, and many conferences such as the Small Family Farm Conference. I talk about the CEA Summit that's coming up, the State Supreme Court. We did a small community broadband conference. We've done the Ag Bio Conference, the Dental Society. We even had a juried a flower show from the garden clubs of Virginia. So it was all the garden clubs across the Commonwealth that came together for a 2-day juried flower show. So getting back to sort of your question, I would say that in the beginning we were the new place, and everybody just was in awe of that big glass building on the hill. So we did early on a lot of social events, a lot of weddings and family reunions. Many of the schools wanted to have their class reunions because they thought it would be a great way to attract, the classmates to come back to the area. Many of whom maybe had been gone for a long period of time. So I would say it's really evolved to more of the industry trainings and corporate events, retreats where really companies and entities and organizations want to do their strategic planning. They want to do employee training. There's so many venues out there for a lot of the social events, and we really don't want to compete with anybody. We really want to enhance and be an option to enhance events in the community.
Yeah, no, and that's really cool to hear, all those stories you just shared. I would assume you guys aren't running out and getting fast food for our customers anymore.
No, not anymore.
I assume we're past that one.
but sort of to add on to that, I'll give you a little bit more background of sort of how we started into the catering. If that's okay. But at the beginning, our kitchen was basically a warming kitchen. The kitchen was really not a focal point for when this building was built. I mean, I think there were thoughts about, having meetings and space for meetings, but not really the whole package, or maybe a whole lot of thought just hadn't been put into that. But initially, it was really not set up for much food preparation. So when we started with catering, we really partnered with a number of local restaurants that we referred to as our approved caterers. There was one restaurant that was outside the area. It was actually in Greensboro, and it was called the Painted Plate. So we would basically coordinate the restaurant that was most fitting for the client, their budget, and their meeting needs and what kind of food they wanted. So much of the food would be prepared at the local restaurant, or in the case of the Painted Plate in Greensboro, and then it would be transported here. And then again, in our warming kitchen, but just sort of, that was sort of a setting point. So after a few years, with the increased activity that we were having and just all kinds of different restaurants that maybe did things differently, we really wanted to streamline the process. And we wanted to, since it's all, the outcome is all a reflection on us. And when you have different restaurants, they're kind of running them the way they want. We may communicate to them what our client wants, but it didn't necessarily always come out the way we intended or our client wanted. But also somebody would say, well, I didn't like that. Well, that would have been restaurant A, but they liked restaurant B. And so we really couldn't decipher to our client really the difference on the outside. So we really thought it was time to streamline the process and really raise the bar so that we could stand behind and set the expectations for whether it's a breakfast, whether it's a lunch and a dinner, and still be able to meet our clients' budgets, but also it would be much more uniform and much more consistent. And consistency for us is monumental, and that's really important. So after we streamlined this process, we hired a management company to come in so that we would have one food service provider into the kitchen. And at the same time, because it was simply a warming kitchen, we really had to make a few enhancements, and more than a few. But while the space didn't really increase other than the addition of the walk-in cooler and freezer, we just invested in a steamer and a fryer and a grill top. And so that just really enhanced the kitchen itself, but we didn't do any major renovation in terms of expanding the space. So we really turned the warming kitchen into more of a food prep area. And let me move over to Megabytes, because at the beginning they were really separate. Megabytes was initially called the Cyber Cafe, which began again with an outside caterer who provided sandwiches. So they basically they were made to order right behind the counter.
And when did that first open? Was that like when the Institute opened? Or
No,
was
that was a little bit later on. And actually, I now that you asked me that question, we initially, that space was just like a cafeteria. And we thought, how can we bring people into the building? How can we service the public that, doesn't really know a lot about the Institute, or they hear advanced learning research and they think, oh, I can't relate to that. So, and this is sort of a funny story, but we actually had Pizza Hut that would come in. And they would just come in like once a week, and it was like maybe Fridays. And they would bring like the personal pan pizzas. And we did this for a good year at least. And we would sell like 100 a day. It was just crazy. I mean, they would come in and set up behind the counter, and then we just sell these for whatever, $5 a head. So then we transitioned into a local restaurant actually being on site. So this would have been probably, we're probably talking 15, 16 years ago. I just, off the top of my head, I really can't give you an exact date. So we had this local deli that would come in and, as I say, prepare the sandwiches. But moving forward, when we worked with a management company, hired the management company, we folded the cafe into that whole mix. So at the time, we also wanted to get away from the Cyber Cafe. We wanted a new name for it. So we ran a contest institute-wide, and also had the governor's school students that participated, and we offered like a bonus for the winner, whatever was selected. And maybe it was like meal for a month or something. But it was actually one of the governor's school students who produced the winning name, Megabytes. So we're going back, that's probably been about 12 years, because I think we've had a management company for about 12 years. So anyway, getting back to your question, so back to the conferencing team, in addition to myself, our front desk specialist, Teresa Lewis, was hired in March of 2004. And Teresa is her role is really she meets and greets the clients and guests as they come in. So she is really the first person that they see when they walk into the Institute. So not only does she welcome all of our visitors and guests, but she directs them to their meeting location and fields questions all day long. Diana Parrish, our event planner and operations coordinator, also joined the team in March of 2004. And Diana coordinates all of the meeting details and logistics, working closely with the catering team to ensure that all the meeting details are executed to our clients' requests. And then our sales and marketing manager, Ellen Bass, joined the team in November of 2004. And her role is to attract the businesses into the conference center. She calls on potential clients, existing clients. She networks and, gets referrals from existing clients. So collectively, we have 77 years of experience. I thought that was sort of an interesting.
That's pretty awesome that all four of you have been here for that long.
Yes.
I don't think there's too many teams of four that can all say they've been on the same team for 20, almost 20 years like that.
That's right. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. I appreciate the backstory on the catering and the cafe and sort of how those two things have evolved and then come together that, now we manage both of those in-house. So to go 2 megabytes, I know, again, people might know us as the big building on the hill, but, it's not obvious from when you're driving down 29 and see the big building on the hill that we have an awesome cafe in our building. So tell us a little bit about Megabytes, about, what we offer, what's there.
Great. Well, while I've touched on the history of Megabytes, I do want to mention that in addition to being a wonderful amenity for our on-site students, staff, and tenants, Megabytes is opened to the public. We're open Monday through Friday from 9 to 1:30. The space seats about 64 people. We offer daily sandwich, salad, and a pizza menu. But in addition to our daily menu, on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, we offer a hot buffet. And that menu changes weekly. Well, I say daily and weekly. And that also includes a salad bar and, tea and water. And I'd also like to just put a quick plug into our visitor or our welcome center just down the road, because when travelers stop and ask where they can get a good local meal in the vicinity, Megabytes is included among the recommendations. And I just always love to hear how our guests have found us. And I also want to mention that with our on-site charging stations, Megabytes is a great stop for those that are traveling because they can charge their vehicles and get lunch or a snack in the process. And so lastly, I just want to mention that in addition to our lunch offerings, we have snacks and drinks available throughout the day, along with excellent internet service. So Megabytes is a great place to come and get some work done in a stimulating environment. And again, I just can't stress enough that we're open to the public. And so we really welcome people to come in and utilize the internet service that we have available in the cafe.
There are definitely days where I bring my lunch and then I walk through Megabytes and have to think twice about if I'm going to eat the lunch that I brought. Definitely some good buffet options in there. Taco Tuesday every Tuesday. Definitely worth checking out.
Absolutely. And again, we get people, we're not on the beaten path. So a lot of our recognition has come through word of mouth. And we've got some regulars that meet here and, retired men and women who gather here on a regular basis. And we attract from sort of the cyber park area, but people have to want to come. It's not that they just drive by and say, oh, I think I'll stop here.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. I want to get back to the idea of, how the Institute Conference Center contributes to economic transformation. You talked about in the beginning about how we, draw people to the community. And you've talked a lot about, even the types of people and events that we've hosted, vice presidents, governors, senators, major multi-day events. With each of the other divisions, I've talked about, with them, how they support economic transformation, how they drive economic transformation. And I think what you all do is really interesting because you sort of a part of what each of the other divisions does. So tell me a little bit about that, about, the work that you all do to support our manufacturing advancement division, our applied research team, our advanced learning, and economic development.
The conference center supports all of the internal divisions for all of their meetings, conferences, and events that they actually drive. So, for example, the city of Danville and our economic development team brought the housing summit last year, and they'll bring another one this month or next month. So our team works closely with each department in the planning of their events so that our colleagues can really focus on their meeting's purpose. So they leave the meeting logistics regarding the setup and the execution to us. And let's face it, when we're in the heat of planning a meeting or an event, we really want them to focus on what is the purpose? Why are they bringing this group together? And that should be their focus. They don't need to worry about what they need to tell us, but they don't need to be worrying about the actual logistics of the meeting. So they'll give us the agenda. We'll ask questions that maybe they haven't thought about. We try to anticipate needs even before our clients anticipate needs so that, again, their meetings, programs, and events can be seamless and flawless. We continue to be the site for some of the employee training that's held by new industry that economic development has been responsible for bringing to the community. So just recently we had a new industry that's opening up in the next month, and we held through the Virginia Economic Development Partnership all of the training here. So when people walk into this building, they're getting a flavor for a standard and the bar that's raised because the surroundings are very stimulating and very invigorating. And so Virginia Economic Development came in here. They're focused on the meetings, and their employees or potential employees of this particular industry come in and they're able to really stay focused on what their meeting purpose is. The research team has brought the Ag Bio Conference as well as the CEA Summit, which I think I've mentioned a couple times here in the last few years, along with numerous groups that they're collaborating with on a regular basis. So there's a lot of collaboration that goes on here. And again, we are very instrumental in booking the space and seeing to it that the setup needs are where they need to be and that the execution, if there is food and beverage, is done so to their expectations. Advanced Learning oversees the AET and Governor School programs, the summer camps, WonderWorks, and AmeriCorps. So we support their needs through, again, the space, the food, and the beverage offerings as they're needed. So I believe last year we supported a total of 760 programs and events. It wasn't all food and beverage. In some cases, it may have been just reserving the room and understanding the meeting's time and time frame and what sort of setup that they might need. Advanced Manufacturing holds weekly meetings with company executives. They have a quarterly ATDM graduation, and they will soon hold their ATDM summit. So these are just a few of the examples of how the conference center is supporting the economic growth in Southern Virginia. But we also like to say that, we're driving it by the setting. And, we work hard to keep up these rooms so that they look brand new and that they're in 100% working order every step of the way.
100% what you just said, that you are supporting the other divisions, but also driving that economic transformation in your own way. Leslie, that's all the questions that I have. I mean, I think it's really, this building is an awesome building. Seeing it from the outside, it's that cool glass building on the hill. But from the inside, it's just as cool, from the atrium to the Great Hall to all the conference rooms and classrooms and all of those different pieces working together, as you were talking about all the different spaces, they all fit together very well to host all different kinds of events, whether someone needs one of those spaces or all of them, those spaces all fit very well together, and really do make an impact in this community. But that's all the questions that I have. Is there anything else that you would want to add or anything else you think it's important that people know?
Well, I would just like to thank you again for giving us the opportunity to share what it is that we do. But I would like to just take a moment to applaud the conference team of Diana, Teresa, and Ellen for the last 19 years that they have been with as a team, because they have given 100% to serving the Institute's mission every day. And nowhere will you find a core group who has worked together for such a period with the dedication and the mindset of service excellence and the desire to consistently meet and exceed our clients' expectations. So I would just encourage your audience to go to our website at www.ialr.org to learn about the multitude of offerings available at the Institute, as well as to learn about our programs. And additionally, I just like to put a plug in by saying, consider inviting a friend to come and visit the Megabytes Cafe anytime Monday through Friday between 9 and 1:30. And I might also mention that we have 5 parking spaces available for customers in our main parking lot that's close to the back patio, which is the back entrance to the cafe.
Absolutely. And we also have some upcoming tour events, so be on the lookout for that to see all the spaces that the conference center has. So Leslie, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Megabytes, IALR's on-site cafe, features everyday favorites, convenient ordering options, and an eager staff ready to welcome and serve you. Our enticing menus offer something for everyone, from a fresh, well-stocked salad bar, wraps, sandwiches, and our rotating hot buffet offered on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Megabytes is open Monday through Friday from 9:15 a.m. until 1:30 p.m. To view menus and for more information, visit IALR.org/megabytes.